The Singer SE9180 has some amazing built-in embroidery functions that we want to highlight in this free video tutorial, but we have done a ton of short, quick videos on this machine for the sewing side and the embroidery side, and I want you to check out the playlist of YouTube videos in the description below, and you can start from the beginning and master this machine all the way through. We even have some online courses that we recommend along the way to really get the most out of your machine. So what we want to highlight here is how to size, move, rotate, and mirror image an embroidery design. Now, just because I said embroidery design means it will also apply to anything that you've done with lettering. So if you've typed in the word love, that now is a design and could also be sized and moved. So I'm going to just take a design, and because we're going to talk about mirror image, I kind of want one that is not symmetrical. So I'm going to just pick this one design. It's kind of a corner design right now, and I will tell you that even though sometimes a design doesn't look like real exciting on the screen, you will find that by taking just a few minutes and embroidering it out on a piece of fabric with 2 layers of stabilizer, you will start to have like a little understanding of what a design is going to look like stitched out. You could also put these samples in some sheet protectors and kind of build a kind of library of ideas that you could easily refer back later. Now, before I get started on these functions, I want to make sure that you're always clicking the like button for these free videos. It's the one thing you can do to say thank you for this information, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and we appreciate it. So there's lots of videos. There's going to be quite a few. There's over 50 plus that we're making on this machine, so I need you to hit that like button 50 times if you're watching all the videos. Okay, here we go. So the design is brought on screen, and yes, you can bring more than one design on screen, but once you have something on screen, you're going to notice up here, we're going to move from the design selection area to the editing area. So if you're ever wondering, like, where are my tools? Well, just start back at the top and realize, oh yeah, that's right, the pencil is the edit option. Once you touch it, you're going to find that you have the option to touch and drag. So you can touch with your finger or the stylus and move it around. If you do go out to the edge, it will stop at the edge, so you won't go outside your hoop area. So that's a nice feature. If you do move it around like I have and you want it back to the center, let's go ahead and just touch the center where those arrows are. Boom, back to the center. Centered design, easy to stitch out. If you don't want it to move so much, maybe just you need it a little higher or a little lower, use the arrows because they're going to move it oh so slightly up or down, very minute area, direction. So left, right, corners, all that fun stuff. I'm going to touch the center and just bring it back to the center of the hoop. Rotation. Here's for our rotation function. Touch it. You'll notice we have everything down to 1 degree rotation, 10 degree, and 90 degree. Now I will tell you, most of the time we use 90 degree rotation because all of a sudden you're just like, okay, I need it over there or over there. I need it upside down or to the left or to the right. So we can go either direction. We can do small degrees, but look what happens with this particular design. I see the red marking around the hoop indicates that I can't stitch that. That is now outside the parameter. So because this design was on the large size, I could see rotating it is not going to be the option there. We could do 1 degree rotation until we see the red lines and then back it off once, but we can just go ahead and do as what we need to get it just right there. All right, so rotation. When you're done here, you can go ahead and touch the check mark, and it kind of goes back to the first page of our editing where we have rotation, we have sizing. Okay, let's talk sizing a little bit. So you do have the option to go up 20% and down 20. And so you do find that if you had a smaller design on screen and you went ahead and sized it larger proportionally, that's what all 4 of these areas are, eventually it's going to stop. So it's not going to fill the whole screen, but you could get it larger. Do keep in mind that you're spreading the stitches out. So if your design had 10,000 stitches, which this one about does, as you make it bigger, the stitches are not increasing. So that's why they limit you to 20%. You will find that just that amount won't look like you've got space or gaps between the stitches. And likewise, if you're reducing it down 20%, you will find, see how it stops at 80% here? You'll find that that's a lot of density, that the stitches are going to get really kind of heavier and thick, but they got to stop you because if you went too much further, you're going to really pile up your design. Sometimes you get a needle that breaks because it's just going through too many stitches at once. So you have some sizing, but just know you have to size with some responsibility. Now, here's the other fun thing. Now, this has been a nice square design. What if we wanted it more rectangular? So we're sizing just in the north and south direction. We can also make it kind of skinnier. So we go skinnier. We can make it wider. So you have the option to size without making it sized proportionally. So that is an option for you as well. Now, again, if you need to just go back and you're like, gosh, I wonder how to get back to a normal size, that's what this return arrow looks like. And so that will get you back to 100%. Okay, that's for sizing. We have mirror image. So mirror image, left, right, okay? And on some designs, that is going to be the same as just rotating it. But if you did have something that was more non-symmetrical, you would really see that. But sometimes you just need to go, oh, yep, I just need to flip-flop it, and that's going to flip-flop it around. You can also save your designs like in the new setting that you have. So then that way, if you're coming back tomorrow, you could have that kind of remembered. You don't have to write it on a sticky note. There is optional, and I know I didn't say that we'd talk about this, but did you see the little picture of the thread? So if we go into the thread option, you can actually change two things. You can change the parts of the design to be the colors you might be stitching it in. So you can actually just touch the first color and like we can turn that yellow and come on out. And then we can touch our second one. So you kind of touch it 2 times to get into here, and maybe we're going to stitch that in blue. And we can actually see this design before we stitch it out and go, ooh, I like those colors, or ooh, that's not going to be the color theme that I'm looking for. So save you some time. It's like virtual embroidery. And then what this means down here, BG, background. So let's say I'm going to be stitching on this turquoise fabric. Wouldn't it be nice to know if our design is going to blend too much with our background fabric? So we could come in here, kind of pick that turquoisey background and go, gosh, that's not going to look, I'm going to need to brighten up something, or I'm going to need to change some colors. And you can go back into your design and start to manipulate the colors to be more what you were hoping for. So see how this one would be too close to that? We could actually change it to something that will show up. So just know you can go back in here and you can see individual colors. So those will be kind of like separated from the design, or you can see the whole design as you go. When you have the colors to your liking, touch the check mark. Just for today, I'm going to switch this back to kind of that grayish background so you can kind of see better as we continue on. So that's how you can actually change your colors. So we have tons of options, from changing it the size, the mirror image, we can move, we can rotate, and pretty much if you can get it on screen, you can do something with it. And again, remember, you can do the same thing with a spelled out word or a sentence, and you can rotate it so you'd have plenty of direction for everything to go in. So if it doesn't fit this way, you can fit it this way and have it all in one hooping. So I'd love for you to just take a few minutes, explore these functions, and get comfortable with them. Remember, take some time to stitch out your designs, and just go back in, take another design, see what it's going to look like, see how you could make that a little bigger or a little smaller. Maybe you stitch out one that's small, medium, and large, and then that way you have kind of a nice understanding of how the sizes change when you embroider them out. All right, happy stitching. Let's get started.